Hello and welcome, I'm Joshua Barnes and you're watching The World Report. Let's first take a look at the top stories. US President Donald Trump has called the success of Chinese AI app DeepSeek a wake-up call for US tech companies. DeepSeek has become the top free app in the US, sparking a dip in US tech giant shares, wiping billions off their market value. Israel says that 8 of the hostages set to be freed in the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal are dead. Meanwhile, over 300,000 people have returned to northern Gaza as the UN warns that their needs remain immense. President Trump has signed several executive orders as he looks to reshape the military, along with the promise to build an Iron Dome defence system in America. DEI initiatives have been banned, 8,000 non-vaccinated service members will be reinstated, and officials will formulate a policy on transgender troops. Fighting in the Congolese city of Goma has intensified with at least 17 deaths reported and hundreds more injured. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has condemned the assault by Rwandan-backed M23 rebels in a call with the Democratic Republic of Congo's president. US President Donald Trump has signed 4 executive orders that will reshape the military. The first establishes a US Iron Dome missile defence system. The second targets diversity, equity and inclusion programmes, banning them in the military. A third order reinstates over 8,000 service members discharged for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. And the fourth and final order addresses the military's stance on transgender service members, reversing policies from the previous administration. New President Donald Trump emphasised these actions are necessary to strengthen the US military and maintain its global leadership. Joining us first, we have our correspondent Aditya Wadwan. Aditya, we're really looking here at Donald Trump turning the screw on military reforms. What do you think that the impact might be on this?
Well, Josh, this is, as we know, that Donald Trump is, is known for making such, unprecedented decisions. In the last term also, what we saw, he announced a flurry of unprecedented decisions, and in this term too, he has already signed a flurry of executive orders. Now, as far as the military is concerned, he has banned the transgenders from entering into the US military, and this will, he has made some changes to the diversity, inclusivity, and this will make this will definitely alter how the US military operates, their day-to-day functioning, what composition of how many males and females are there in the US military. That will be impacted by this Donald Trump's decision. And as far as the Iron Dome is concerned, we already know that Israel also has this Iron Dome built in it, and similar, and Donald Trump is known to be absolutely pro-Israel. So he has been of the view that he has to make America great again. He has been also saying that let's make America safe again. So this is a very sort of an inward policy what Donald Trump is, following at the moment. As he has signed his executive order to build this Iron Dome. In his last term, he had also been very insistent upon building a wall with a border of Mexico. So, he has been he's known for taking such protectionist stuff, when it comes to the security of the United States of America. And this will we can expect further also that he might take such protectionist in the future going forward. Yes, George, back to you in the studios.
Also joining us on this discussion, we have Ambassador Suresh K. Goel, who is a former diplomat. Ambassador Goel, we're really looking here at if Trump brings in a Iron Dome missile defence system. We're looking at such a broad country. Israel, of course, in size is so much smaller. How do you think financially and feasibly Trump will be able to carry that out?
My mind boggles. I really just can't imagine the scale, the magnitude of such a decision, then uh, I really can't imagine. Even in the case of Israel, the Iron Dome that they use is really quite expensive and it requires a great deal of coverage. And therefore, I don't think that I'm able to even imagine the extent of money involved really. But then, as was said before, President Trump, he is very unconventional. He is very, shall I say, unpredictable. And I'm not quite sure whether he will not actually go ahead with this decision and implement it, even if it is not fulfilled entirely during his term. So let us see. But I cannot really think of what it is going to cost and what it is going to do. First of all, I don't even know whether you need an Iron Dome for the whole the USA. Israel does it because Israel is surrounded by the Arab countries. The scale is rather less. The missile path covers that much. No missile can really enter into the interior of the USA without really coming to the borderlands first. And therefore, I really don't know. That's unimaginable.
Ambassador Goel, just picking off the back of that, we're looking at a country in Israel that has adversaries all around it. We know
Yes.
it's surrounded by countries that it's been conflicting with and Iran-backed proxies that it sees as a risk. So the Iron Dome, therefore, seems more logical. But for the US, an impending strike on its territory isn't something that currently seems likely. Do you think that this is Trump potentially signalling towards an adversary which might want to attack the US directly?
Who can that be? Are we thinking of Russia? Are we thinking of China? If that happens, I'm sure that the distances are so huge. Even Iranian missiles to reach Israel, it takes some time. By that time, and they have got their own defensive measures, by the time the missiles even reach anywhere near USA, Trump would have enough warning, really. And therefore, in the case of the likely adversaries, I do not know how needed the Iron Dome would be or how effective will Iron Dome be. As I said, this is a new concept, completely a new thought in the case of the USA, and therefore one requires more time.
Also joining us on this discussion is Rabinder Sachdev, a foreign affairs expert. Rabinder, we're looking back now towards the US, and I want to focus on these military executive orders that he's looking to bring in and will be bringing in. Firstly, the topics of transgender, the topics of DEI are things that are very divisive within the states, but of course his supporters are supporters of him for reasons like these, where they back these opinions of his. Do you think that this potentially could cause even more of a rift in the states with people so divided on the topics?
Interesting. Yeah, it would cause more rift. People were anticipating, steps like these by Trump. But Trump has been unleashing, these executive orders by the dozens every day. The issue is that the Trump agenda, the MAGA agenda, has been very clear about it. And also, moreover, the Trump team and the think tanks of the Republican Party, especially, you may remember the Project 2025, they have hundreds of memos ready on all such topics, which Trump could virtually pick and choose a la carte from the menu, right? So these orders have been drafted and many more will be coming already by the Trump team and his advisors. It's a matter of now which one of these orders or of the many orders, not only related to DEI, transgender policies and all related to abortion, something should be coming soon, and many other aspects, the military, DEI, and many others, education, school education, patriotic curriculum in the schools. Many of these would be coming up swiftly in the coming days for the reason that the Trump administration this time is prepared, not only much better prepared from its experience of the first term, but secondly, they've done their homeworks, drafted out these memos, and they've also prepared the the counter to the legal challenges, because all of these orders that Trump is issuing, I think probably almost all of them would be facing lawsuits and challenges in various courts by various either non-profits, agencies, or trade unions, or employee unions, or departments themselves. So the Trump teams have not only drafted these memos, they've also prepared the counter, or what they think the legal challenge would come and how they would respond in a court of law on those. So we can anticipate more of them. So essentially, all of these 8,000 reinstated who were, due to COVID non-compliance, dismissed or suspended, transgender only male and female in the army, no else, and all such policies halted. The DEI department, not only the policy or diversity, equity, and inclusion, but the very departments which handle these matters, which are staffed by, if not hundreds, yes, hundreds and dozens of professionals in these fields, their department has been completely eliminated.
Yes.
Okay.
Rubinder,
so this we will see.
Sorry to interrupt. We're running short of time. I just want to focus on something you mentioned there, and the fourth and final executive order relating to the troops that will be returning to duty. 8,000 of them who decided not to get the COVID-19 vaccine. One, this is a stance from Trump that we saw during his first term, where he was very much against vaccinations, but also it could be a boost to the American military with such a big influx of troops at one point.
I'm sorry, I lost you for a few seconds in between. Could you kindly repeat the question?
No problem. I just want your opinion and want you to discuss Trump's continuation on the theme of the COVID-19 vaccines we saw, of course, during his first term. And then I would like you to move on to the discussion around an influx of 8,000 troops at once and what impact that might have on the military.
It would, Trump's attempt is to create a military which he thinks and which his base wants to be a masculine military. Masculine, that's what they want, right? And of course, no issues on the spectrum of genders, only male, female. Now, as to the issue of COVID, I think we will see more of it coming up as Robert F. Kennedy gets to take charge as the health secretary. There will be a slew of orders on those counts already. Let us just wait and see. Already they've ordered the CDC to halt any communication with the WHO, right? Because they've withdrawn from the WHO. So immediate stop to any interaction between the CDC and WHO. And there would be other, diktats. These are diktats essentially, right? Coming out from the White House relating to vaccines even. But the issue is that all of these, most of these are going to be challenged in the courts. Some will remain. Some where the Trump teams lose, they will again come back. They will create some other strategies and stratagems. As I said, they already have multiple plan A, B, C if their executive orders are challenged. So they'll come back. They will keep at it perennially on their agenda.
Yes, Rubinder Sachdev and Ambassador Goel, thank you for joining us. As Trump brings new executive orders and those challenges in the courts happen, we will of course bring you the latest. But we now move to Africa, where gunfire has echoed across Goma, the largest city in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, after M23 rebels backed by Rwanda claimed control. This follows a deadly escalation along the border with Rwanda, where both sides exchanged fire. DRC spokesman confirmed the presence of Rwandan troops in Goma and urged calm. The M23's victory comes after a 48-hour deadline for Congolese troops to surrender expired. Residents reported violence and chaos, with panic sweeping through the city's 2 million people. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke to Rwanda's Paul Kagame, calling for a ceasefire after 9 South African peacekeepers were killed. We're joined by a guest for this one. We're looking at speaking to Gautam Mukherjee, who is a senior journalist. Now, Gautam, thank you for joining us. This sort of conflict that has arisen has been going on for 30 years or so, but I want to get an understanding from you why this has kicked off now. Of course, we know that the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo is a mineral-rich region, but why is there the fighting there, and why has it really intensified over recent days?
Well, it's as you said, it's a conflict that's been there for 30 years. It will flare up whenever there's a power struggle. And what we have today is yet another power struggle. And so much so that they're attacking the peacekeepers.
And looking at the comments that have been made by Marco Rubio, we know that he's had a phone call with the Congolese president, really condemning these attacks from Rwanda and the M23 rebel groups. Why do you think the United States are getting involved in this conflict?
Well, I think you said it straight off that there is enormous mineral wealth that has been found afresh. And as a consequence, there will be a lot of people trying to get into it. One of the possibilities is China. Another possibility is Russia. So America feels it is important to get involved so that they don't walk off with the proceeds.
Looking at the fighting which has broken out in the streets, reports are there that fighting and fracas between the rebels and government forces are almost taking up every single street in the eastern city. Do you think that this will have an impact on civilians? We've already seen tens of thousands flee.
Yes, it is designed to create chaos, have most of the civilian population leave, and then it's basically the rebels want to seize power, and the government of Congo is trying to survive. So that is what is going on. Civilians are pawns. They will have to leave. At least for the time being.
Just to finish off, there are potentially up to 100 militarized groups in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why specifically is Rwanda backing the M23, and how far do you think this rebel group can go in the country?
It depends on how many weapons they are supplied and how much ammunition they have and how much money is being poured into their battle. So it's really the people behind the actual rebels that have to be investigated, and that is what I think America is very keen on doing, so that the tap can be shut off and this brought to a close.
Gautam Mukherjee, thank you very much for joining us. We will continue to bring you the latest and the updates as they come from the Democratic Republic of Congo. We now move to Israel, who have confirmed that 8 of the 26 hostages due for release by Hamas are dead, while the Palestinian Islamic Jihad released a video of Arbel Yahoud, whose release was delayed. Over 300,000 people have fled to northern Gaza, with the UN warning of urgent needs. Here is the full update.
Israel confirmed that 8 of the remaining 26 hostages due for release by Hamas are dead. The news comes after Hamas released a list of the hostages.
I can confirm that Israel has received from the Hamas terrorist organization, a list that includes the status of all of the 33 hostages due to be released in this first stage. The list from Hamas matches Israel's intelligence.
Amid the ceasefire, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad released a video of hostage Arbel Yahoud, who is set to be freed on Thursday. Her release was delayed, with Hamas instead freeing 4 IDF soldiers instead. Over 300,000 people have fled to northern Gaza, with the UN warning of immense needs. Thousands are heading north after Israel and Hamas reached a deal for the release of more hostages, fueling hope for a better future.
كل الناس طبعا تستنى كانت في هذه اللحظة السنة بشوق وحنين وندعو من الله أن يكون القادم أفضل من ما مضى. الشعب دفع ثمن غالي جدا.
But Human Rights Watch also highlights life-threatening conditions for pregnant women and babies due to Israel's blockades and attacks on health facilities. Furthermore, Israel's renewed focus on the West Bank has led to airstrikes, killing 2 Hamas fighters in Tulkarim, while UN experts warn of escalating violence in Jenin and other areas. The attacks on vital infrastructure and home raids are worsening the humanitarian crisis. Bureau Report, NewsX.
That is all we have time for, but we'll be back shortly with more of your latest international news updates.